Dylan is in. And as always, Dylan, it's great to have you in. Has school started up there yet?
No, we are still in our summer camp festivities right now. So.
So all right. So what's you and Jarrett knowing what it's like to have individuals running around the house that rule the house?
Buddy, I survived. Mine started today. I survived summer. I'm officially done. I survived.
Yes.
And I'm looking forward to what it's. I'm less than a month.
Okay.
Oof.
That was what That's what I was wondering is because down here, the school buses, they come running by the house at 7:00 in the morning. So that when that happens, we know that school's back in session. And I didn't know where the busiest man in the Northeast was with camps and getting ready for school and all that kind of stuff. So that's why I asked, since we're back at it down here.
Yeah, and along those lines with broadcast and football, and I know that's earlier for you than for me, but I think in 20 days we have a big Catholic High School Football League preview show, which is going to be, this is super fun, at the site. So we're going to be live on location from one of our sponsors, Blaze Pizza.
See, I was going to say it better be an eat 'em up joint.
So the incentive for these football coaches and their very hungry football players is, you get to join us, you get to be live, you get to be on Varsity Media's YouTube, and we will feed you.
See, but you have to make sure though that they're not. Well, are they going to be able to eat on camera? Do you allow them to multitask like that, or are they going?
No, they'll get there. I think we myself and my broadcast partner John Perez will probably be doing a live food review.
Okay.
For Blaze Pizza, but we will allow the players and everybody to kind of eat off cam and come on camera and talk a little football. So
okay. In hour number one, we were discussing transfer window and specifically reports coming from the other side of the Atlantic about a guy, Steven Bergwijn, being in the discussion with for Atlanta United, and Ajax sitting there and going, "So Leicester, what you got? Atlanta United? 15 million? Not so sure. Hey Leicester, if you can go 20, then we'll be interested." But right now, 10 days left in the window, and 5 if you're Canadian. But
that's window, huh?
Well, I know, and that's. Do you anticipate when by the next time that we catch up, will this be a sprint to the end of the window, or are folks where folks are holding things kind of close to the vest a little bit, and then everybody just sits there, right there at the buzzer and goes bang, 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 bang? Or is this going to be? Are you anticipating more movement here? Or is this going to be the stand pat summer window for you?
No, I think it'll be one of those two where I think so much will happen near the deadline that we'll get things trickling, hours or if not even a day after the window closes. Like that old the official trade comes in on the fax machine kind of thing, but it's not.
Not in the old days of refreshing MLB transfer rumors.
I suspect. I think it'll be both. To be honest, I think it's going to be. We're watching Olympics, right? So what is it? The 100-meter, right? Like sprint to the end, but also a lot of activity at the end.
Okay, so we're looking at a Noah Lyles, Gabby Thomas kind of a thing. Jarrett, first question for Dylan Butler as we tour Major League Soccer.
Yeah. Aside from this chaos that we've been discussing this morning, is there any club you're looking at other than this one in their chaos? Any club you're looking at in MLS to be keeping an eye on with their transfer strategy for the summer that could be making huge waves?
Yeah, I mean, a few, right? Charlotte obviously just got their long-awaited business done, right? Getting Tim Ream, that became.
Where's the scorer, though, man?
This morning, 100%. That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm not. They're not done. Would anticipate more moves from them. trying to think. It's all about, right, like who's got DP spots. I would love for really either of these two teams in my neck of the woods, but the Red Bulls also desperately needing a 9. There were rumors they had that guy locked in, and then there were rumors that maybe that didn't materialize or that deal fell apart. So, yeah, I think this should be. I mean, it's kind of been slow to this point, so it's underwhelmed. But I think it should be, one of the more interesting transfer windows, because there's so many teams that have put themselves in situations to spend in this window and are in the mix for playoff spots, right? Very few teams are like out, right? Teams are either trying to get, well, from the top, you're trying to win the Shield, and there's a few contenders for that.
Mm-hmm.
You're trying to get that home match or matches in the playoffs, right? So teams are battling for that, and then they're battling to get above the line. So I think there's so much juggling for positions among such a really the majority of the league, which look, the powers that be love that, right? So I think there should be a good amount of activity. There's a lot of teams who have set themselves up to spend this time of the year.
So then we'll put the LA teams off to like the next question from Jarrett. But the rearranging of the deck chairs in New England and all caps with Kessler and Parker. That one, I was like, I literally had the question mark and the thought bubble over my head, because I had initially thought that, okay, you're getting rid of Kessler. That means Peyton Miller gets more minutes. Caleb Porter looks like he's going to the youth movement with Revs 2, with Buck and Bayraktarovich and Miller. And then you trade for Parker and you bring him at the back. So to me, it just looked like you were swapping one trip to IKEA for another. It didn't make a whole lot of sense.
Are you a big fan of IKEA, by the way?
The meatballs, yes. The shopping and the furniture, I have no idea.
Yeah, I've heard. I haven't had the meatballs, but I've only heard good things about them.
Yeah, so and that's kind of where I am. But it's like you asking me about shopping. I'm just like, look, do it online. Go to Mattress Firm, and I'm done.
But they also got Luke
Langone. Try and get you through there quick, bud.
Yeah, I know.
But New England also, right, got Langone from Boca. So they were in a, like you were wondering, like, are they in punt mode? Like you said, are they just going youth and let's rebuild? But then they start making some moves where you're like, maybe they're going for it here. And again, they're not, like I said, there's few teams who are out of it, and they're not out of it, right? Like they made a bit of a run.
Yeah, they're in the 8-9 street fight in the West, yeah, and East, yeah.
So I think it would seem like they're going for it.
Jarrett, for Dylan, go for it.
How is it that the rich keep getting richer, and that Cincinnati, Columbus is out here grabbing like River Place young players, and they just I had questions because I know there are leadership changes on the horizon with Columbus, and it's so hard to stay on top in this league. But what is the deal with this team that keeps getting richer and keeps getting more talented?
And I love it. I love the usage of the word there, right? Like the rich get richer. I love that you use that here, because it wasn't too long ago where Columbus, right? They were a team that didn't spend a lot, right? Like, you weren't sure who they were and what they were doing. And then, they start getting, they start splashing cash, and they go and they get bold. I mean, you dare say, I mean, it's apples and oranges a little bit, because even only this league changes so much in only a couple of years, but and maybe it's the Bezbatchenko influence, but they started spending a little bit like old school Toronto, right? Like but they're getting these young guys. And obviously too, they realize, they can do quite a good bit of business, like, I mean, look at Miami, right. Too, with, I don't think that's been official yet, right, with Gomez, but,
Right.
man, you could, you can make some coin, right, as a club. So, you start to prove, and you start to, I think it only takes one or two guys, and that in Atlanta, right? Like, if you have that early success and you had it right away with Almiron, like, now those agents and the scouts that you have, now you've got a success story to point to, right? So they're not just going out on a limb and taking a leap of faith. That there's proof there that we can go to Major League Soccer, we could play for a couple of years, and then go to a bigger club, or in Gomez's case, a couple of months, and go to a bigger league and make more coins. So kudos to Columbus for continue to doing that, and pushing. I'm all about, like, we've had this conversation before. Not in the baseball sense, maybe, or maybe that is the way, but, like, for me, it's parity is in a lot of ways exciting, and you get all these different races, but I am all about, like, forget the teams that are spending at the basement, right? Mm-hmm. Let's push the envelope and make those teams spend, right? Like, spend above, do the luxury tax, whatever it is. Because I think the further that you push the ceiling up, now the teams that are at bottom don't want to have that massive gap. So I think it's going to force, you would hope, almost like heat rising, right? Like, you would hope that it would rise the teams who don't spend a lot to do so.
Insert John Fisher joke here. Yeah, because he's locked into his Sacramento baseball club instead of the San Jose Earthquakes. You mentioned folks that are not afraid to spend money. Let me go to LA here and discuss both.
Which one?
Both
of them.
Both. Legitimately, I mean, you had LAG sits there and go, okay, Marco Royce. And they paid, apparently, possibly, probably, allegedly, perhaps, $350,000 to Charlotte to reclaim dibs, which is the dumbest rule on the planet for me. The dibs rule for Major League Soccer. It's like, literally, I'm going to put dibs on, Cristiano, Jude Bellingham, whatever. And then 10 years down the line, somebody wants to bring Bellingham to Major League Soccer. They got to pay San Diego, whomever, $600,000 in Garber bucks just to get the dibs rights away from the team that's got them. But apparently, reports are $350 to Charlotte for dibs and reclaiming dibs so they can sign Marco Royce. Then seeing that down the five, or wait, up the five. Sorry, yeah, up the five. Up the five to downtown Los Angeles. Now there's a discussion, and it is regarded as an eventuality in all reports. It may not necessarily be in this window, but it will be in some window. That Griezmann to LAFC to go hang out with his buddies, the most handsome man in Major League Soccer, Olivier Giroud, and Hugo Lloris. And so literally, I always wonder in these situations how you're going to fit all this stuff under the cap, but we all know that NIL, especially with what's going on with Messi and friends, the equivalent of NIL deals can make stuff like this happen more than it has in the past. But you've got the teams in Los Angeles who are sitting there going, you know what? We're shiny. We're just going to keep chasing after these kinds of folks. And so now you're hearing Marco Royce and Antoine Griezmann being added to the mix out in Lipstick City. Yeah,
it's kind of like, you're driving down the five and one's got like a Bentley and you're like, that's a nice car, but I have an Escalade. Like, just like trying to outdo each other. But I love that. That's my point. Like, let's go, go ahead. There's no one formula, right? Like, a Columbus can wow you with the young guys, from River or Boca or Cucho coming in and and the LAs are like, I see that. And we also have those kind of guys, but now we're also going for, French World Cup winners and, trying to, you can't really one up. There's no one upping Miami at this point, but joining that arms race, if you will. And again, I wish the two New York teams would have similar aspirations as well. Listen, Forsberg, I think, was a phenomenal signing, right? Unfortunately, he's still in a protective boot. He's still going to be out for a little bit. For me, like, you always joke about Dylan Butler Estates. I think if I can get Chris Henderson aboard at at Dylan Butler Estates, I would say my formula, it would be, I mean, I hate to, kind of like all the above, check that box, but like, I want to have a strong academy.
Uh-huh.
I want to have those pipelines into Argentina and into Colombia and Paraguay and get those young guys.
Yeah.
But then also, a guy or two to put butts in the seats as well, right? So, I want to have.
You just want Kevin De Bruyne to come to Dylan Butler Estates for year one. I know you.
Oh, that might happen.
See.
Well, he might be in that on the same jet with Pep.
This is what I'm saying. Jarrett, go for it.
I guess as we get through this now, some teams have almost a month off to think about what they've done as they sit in the corner and wait for the league.
What have we done?
Yeah, pretty much. As we sit here and think about what we've all done,
or like Bad Dog, what did you do?
Yeah,
Go sit in the corner. There's your dunce cap. Go sit in the corner.
No, people are definitely rubbing our nose. We lost at home to Santos Laguna. Of course, our noses are getting rubbed in it. I guess which teams are you looking forward to the most, with the most, I guess, curiosity for the stretch run of the regular season after Leagues Cup?
Yeah, you know what? Like a team that I was not high on, or not even, like, there was no heat map on them at all for me, was Austin. And now we see what they're doing in Leagues Cup, right? Like, I think Leagues Cup is interesting for some teams because, like, it's giving some of them like that second chance, right? To maybe get on the trampoline and get going for the stretch drive of the regular season. I don't think that's going to be the case for San Jose, certainly, but
no.
But like, in Austin's a good example, right? Like, I didn't, I wasn't high on them at all, and I mean, granted, tough matchup in the round of 32, but they're one of those teams that I'm interested in, that maybe wasn't performing up to Leagues Cup, and now, using that as a platform. I think that could be one of those teams.
Who then, on the flip side, who is going to be in this break?
By the way, New England, another one of those.
There you go. Yeah. I mean, so then on the flip side, who is going to rue this break? And it's not going to do them any good. And we talked about the street fight that is the Eastern Conference. And so I think that pretty much whatever your run is in the East is, whatever your run is, considering that you've got 38 teams chasing after the 8 and the 9 right now. Is there anybody that is looking at this run in Leagues Cup, whether they're still in it or not, where you're sitting there going, man, I don't know if they need to do this right now? Is that Messi? I mean, is it Messi and friends? Did they
to still be playing?
Yeah. Or
yeah, I thought you were going the other way, and I was going to say Atlanta is a team that really needed, right?
Absolutely,
some games.
Yeah.
So they would be ruining being knocked out because you need to have some games, with the new Cats together. So,
right. Yes.
maybe. But Miami, man, like, they just don't, like, you guys know it, Tata, right? Like, they're not going to punt. Like, it's just, like,
almost to a fault.
Yeah, 100%. Like, so perhaps it would have done them well to not still be around. But they're not doing it. They're not bringing an unhealthy Messi out, right? Like, they even rotated in the group stage, right? Like saved legs, like the Tigres match, a good example where, and they did the same, right? You had like it almost, I think it was almost the same substitution, like where you get like Busquets coming out with Gignac, like
Yep.
who comes off the bench like that, right? But so he again, it's not a punt per se for them.
It's a squib kick.
Yeah, I guess, right. Like, they're still, now it'll be interesting for them. But yeah, no, I don't think they can do that kind of thing. I'm kind of looking through on who's still, Cincinnati, Columbus, NYCFC, like Orlando. Orlando's an interesting one too. I feel like Pareja just sort of finds a way in tournament play, right? Like he's got the formula to maneuver these knockout tournaments.
And everybody in Central Florida is going, bro, why can't you do that in the regular season? Where traditionally in the regular season, Oscar Pareja goes,
hey, look, he gets them to the playoffs, which is more than anyone else ever did.
True. That's true.
But I guess I kind of a weird question for you. In the sense of last year we saw Nashville make a run to the final, literally to a shootout, and then they just kind of went back to being bad. If they did,
but I know,
got Gary Smith fired.
I know you did.
But
I'm watching him on a weekly basis with the new guy.
But man, make a squirt bottle for you. But of the teams that are still in this, any of the teams that we've seen struggling in MLS, are there any that you're looking at thinking that could be a team that does kind of a Nashville run where they've struggled in the regular season of MLS, but could be a fun, sneaky pick to make a run in this tournament?
Yeah, let me pull up the. I got to pull up the old bracket.
I realize there's 32 teams to choose from. I apologize.
Well, no, because we're not talking Liga MX. We're not.
Yeah, fair.
I'm not gonna pull up Juarez as the team.
The Santos Laguna run is gonna make zero sense.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, let me see. Let me just pull this up. Use my old internets here for the brackets. Here's my bracket. All right, so because my answer without looking at the bracket was going to be New England, but I want to see where they are in said bracket.
Okay.
So New England, NYCFC, right? Winnable. And then Tigres. So
thanks for playing.
Yeah. And then if you get by that, the Miami, Columbus. I mean, you know what? I don't know. Maybe Toronto, right? Maybe Toronto, New England is my answer of two teams that, are in that rock fight for the 8-9, right? Or around that area, around a playoff line that, could do something, right? Like, it would be an upset, right, if Toronto beat Miami, but not a massive one, right? Because it's not full strength Miami, and then you play another MLS team, so Columbus, SKC, and now you find yourself, probably against Tigres, but at that point you are in the semifinal, so.
Mm-hmm.
So probably those. I don't, like DC. No, Philly's an interesting one though, right? Like they're playing their best soccer at the moment. So Philly, Cincinnati, and again too, they obviously have the history in these kind of competitions, whether it was Champions Cup or now Leagues Cup, of making these deep runs and playing these Mexican teams. So. Looking at that part of the bracket, that's a very, if you could beat Cincinnati there, who I would anticipate would beat Santos Laguna.
Yeah.
Why not? Right. Like it's not a, at the bottom of that, like Cruz Azul, it's not like and I'm not saying they're going to beat Orlando even, like that's one of the better matchups. I think one of the best matchups over the round of 32. But it's not that classic Cruz Azul team, right? So why can't a Philly come out of that and that quadrant there and get to the quarterfinals or maybe a semifinal?
Yeah, and then low left, it could shape up to be a rock fight with El Trafico, possibly in a semifinal. You could have Vancouver. Just don't tell Sartini that, but Sartini could have Seattle or LAG if he beats Pumas. Then you've got LAFC with your pesky Austin team. So, low left could present itself some problems. And then obviously you mentioned what's going on in the upper left with, Club America. And I think really
I would love to see them play Portland. I want that. I want Club America Portland, and I want that to be like 6-4.
Oh, I'm
because Portland could score.
What about the second 45 minutes?
America can score. Portland cannot defend. So
other than that, how was the play, Mrs. Lincoln? And so you mentioned Toronto, and I'll go ahead and ask this question. Does John Herdman survive the season? Because of the off-the-field stuff that has come out, and he decided to talk about it until he talked about it too much and then lawyered up, basically. Does he survive the season? Should he survive the season? Can he survive the season? For three separate questions with three separate prepositions or clauses attached to it. Because of everything that we have found out about what went on at Canada Soccer, then because of what John Herdman said in his press conference pre-Red Bulls, where he basically, you want to go ahead and say it, folks are accusing John Herdman of lying, because then they went to Rick Westhead and said, no, there was a meeting, and he said, watch this Honduran tape, and they didn't even win the damn match. But should John Herdman continue to be the coach, and will he make it to the end of the year?
All right, so how many questions do we have?
74. Should, can, would. Or, should, can, will, I guess.
I mean, I think he will.
Okay.
Unless he decides to step down, like unless he sort of falls on his sword, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But also, I think the decision will be made easier if they do not make the playoffs.
Okay.
As well, right? Like, I think if they make the playoffs, if they're successful, I think it will make that decision a little bit more difficult.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. So then should he, in your mind?
I don't know. I mean, it's two different. Is it apples and oranges? Like, is it two different fruits here? Something happened in his previous employ.
But in your current employ, you got called out by folks who said you basically lied.
Well, that's the problem.
And that's the thing.
For sure.
So I guess can and should would be one, and will is one, and then can and should, I guess, would be the same.
It's very tricky, right? Like, I mean, you hear in all different kinds of situations, like who is it in college football, right? Like,
narrow it down for me. Harbaugh.
Seriously, like, who lied on their resume and they didn't do that, or
George O'Leary.
Yeah. So yeah, so that makes, I mean, it's, I would say, I don't know if I'd be surprised by any of those scenarios, right? Like, I don't know, it's tricky.
Jarrett, wrapping up with Dylan Butler, what else is on your mind?
Oh man, well, I guess that's where that's where I wanted to go, was kind of the status of that. I guess my final one is, I know you talked about Forsberg still being in the walking boot, and with the rise of what Red Bulls have done this year, I wanted to ask you about DC, because Troy Lesesne goes to DC, and look, they won their group in Leagues Cup. they've been better than I thought they would be in year one. Is this kind of one of those? It feels like this kind of situation where like everyone benefited. I love what Red Bulls is doing right now, and also Lassane landed somewhere where it feels like he's succeeding. It feels like everybody won, and we don't get those stories often enough.
And ironically, that player that he has up top, that's who the Red Bulls need. they need Benteke, right? Like they need that guy. And what for the way that he wants to play, Lassane, like how perfect, you cannot have a more perfect player up top than Benteke, right? Like just lob balls up there, he'll head them in, you win these games. So yes, I agree with you. I think it's been better than anticipated for sure. But they're still a weird team, like we know their style of play, but like kind of who are they? Are they your team? Are they a team that leans on their academy? Are they a team that's going after young players in South America? They're not spending big, right? So, there's a lot of questions there for them as well, but it is a better point at this, they're at a better point or spot at this point of the season than I think a lot of people anticipated.
What is going on with you, sir, MLSsoccer.com? And since we already got into the varsity media on the YouTubes and Media Day, by the way, it's next Friday for yours truly. The 16th is week 0, and that's when season starts next week. And so our first broadcast on GPB is on the 16th with 2 nationally ranked teams in Milton and Buford.
Oh, nice.
So we're kicking off with that. So what's the latest with you with stuff away from varsity media, which I know we'll be talking about all season long?
Yeah, no, it's Leagues Cup and Leagues Cup and more Leagues Cup. I was not on last night. I was on Saturday, Sunday, Monday. I'm on tonight, on tomorrow night. And somehow the Leagues Cup gods have given me a Saturday, really a weekend of no matches. So,
whoa,
I know.
Nicely done. At Dylan_Butler on the 280 character app, my friend. It's always great to catch up with you to get the national perspective of things and find out what's going on when it comes to Major League Soccer. We will catch up with you hopefully next week if you're not flying around at 9,000 miles an hour, that I know that you absolutely do this time of year, doing coaching and doing the shuttling from one place to another and hanging out with MLS Soccer and Leagues Cup. It's always great to see you, my friend. We'll catch up with you soon.
Yeah. Cheers, guys.
There we go. He's grateful. That's the mug.